The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25. Tyranny, oppression, rape, and hate. The Holy ToRaH. And Jesus, in the age of many, of relative ignorance, wants to crack the restraints, if the story is true. And something like it is always true, somewhere, always. Someone always says to themselves, someone has to try something. Stop the screaming and take in some air. So he tells the story of 10 vessel virgins and 1 available man. It's an analogy like all his stories. Be prepared, always, which in itself is true enough. In the story, the 5 that weren't prepared lost out, and the 5 virgins that were prepared all went into the bridegroom, which sounds like every man's fantasy. Then the story about the servants with the money of their Lord, and he goes away, and 2 have doubled the cash he left them. The 3rd has hid the cash for fear of losing it, in fear of the boss who could get real mean on occasion of displeasure. He gave the 2 more, and the 1 who did nothing, he took all away. Which is a story, and I can almost hear the preacher's words and explanations. I find it simple Moses logic and let it go. The rest of this chapter is more Moses logic. Separate the sheep from the goats. Let the sheep graze the fields, make cities, and pay taxes. Burn the goats. Promise the sheep eternity of bliss, the goats eternal hell. But we know this is nonsense, and Jesus would know too that it was nonsense. Pushing meaning into simple opposites is no longer where we are at. Matthew was a tax collector. Perhaps he thought this way. Many Jews still do, as do Christians and Muslims. Life is very quantum. Everything in its way is either or. That's what makes intelligence such a curious thing. We can choose how to witness it. And a scientist and a philosopher and a theologian will all agree. We somehow do make a difference. In fact, at such an early date in a universe, we are simply very brilliant already.